Hello and welcome to another Let's Play. Me, GamerWolfSix of Dawn Chorus. Before we start, if you're interested in playing this game, you can get it on the internet for free. And if you want to support them on Patreon, you can go there and give them some money. So anyways, on the last Let's Play, we hung with Miko. And he played the piano, so did we. And now, I guess we're stargazing. Days end so fast up here, fast here up north during the winter. I don't feel tired at all, quite the contrary. Full of energy, even though it's already dark outside. Above me, the stars look like small pebbles scattered across the night sky. Here, far away from the city and its polluting lights, they shine so much brighter. Man, I remember being at sea when most of the lights on the ship were turned off. You can see a lot. I think I also maybe saw the Milky Way. It was extremely faint. There's even a subtle band of light that forms the Milky Way, slightly visible. It's a very cliche thing to think, but it's mind-blowing to think how big they actually are. So big and so distant. Impressive, isn't it? Who's that guy? Is he the professor? We stayed at the common space for more than an hour, first listening to Mika playing, and then just talking together. At the end, we were joined by Lake and Jorgen, who treated everyone with chocolates they brought with them. It was almost time for the stargazing to begin, so we hurried outside onto the terrace. Here, we found a few other students already waiting, and several telescopes lined up at the edge of the terrace. Night sky here certainly is something. Next to the terrace, next to the entrance, stands Devin, together with a professor I'm not familiar with. He's a burly badger, probably in his late 40s or 50s, looking rather friendly and approachable. Good evening, Professor. Good evening, Lake. And hello there, Jorgen. Evening, Professor. I hope you're well. I'm good, thank you. Devin glances at his watch, then looks at the notebook he holds in his other paw. Looks like everyone's here already. We can start now. There's something that I was thinking of missing. Oh yeah, the black cat with the green hair. I haven't seen him at all, but I think we had a chance to at some point. Rarely. Let me introduce you to Professor Arnie Feng, who give you a crash course on astronomy and stargazing tonight. Thank you, Devin. Hello everyone, it's nice to meet you all. So, you're here because you've signed up for stargazing as your activity for today. You probably expect to start with telescopes, which you can see over there, but that's not what we're going to do. I understand that some of you might be more advanced in the topic, but we're going to start with the very basics today. We're lucky that the wind blew the clouds away, otherwise we wouldn't be able to see much, and would have to postpone the activity. Stars are favorable to us today. He chuckles at his own pun before continuing. Oh, that the stars are aligned for this stargazing? Ah. Devin, can you go and turn the lights off? Sure thing. Stargazing for someone who not versed in it might seem uninteresting. It's just look at the sky, isn't it? Well, in a way it is, but it becomes interesting when you know what you're looking for. The sky is truly a beautiful thing itself, but knowing what you're looking at transforms the experience. We'll start our course with the simplest exercise. Look at the sky and try to locate the Ursa Major constellation. That's easy. Bjorn is standing right here. Lake points at the bear and whispers to Jorgen, who, upon hearing that, hides his face in both paws with a sigh. Thank you, Devin. It didn't seem like he did anything. I joke. So, now, can you find Ursa Major by herself? Oh, it's the thing in the sky with all the stars. I don't know what kind of joke I was going for. Look at the sky, but I have no idea what I'm looking for. I have to say, this is a crap ton of stars. Even for when I was like in the middle of nowhere. I've heard about that constellation, but at first glance, it's hard to recognize anything even a bit Ursine looking. If you found it, please raise your paw. Glancing around, I see a few paws already in the air. I myself have no idea what I'm looking for, though. Okay, so now, how about how to find the constellation in the sky? Okay, so now, how to find that constellation in the sky? When you look at Ursa Major, it's the tail. You will surely notice a familiar shape in its tail. You may know this group of stars as Carl Savogen, Charles Wagon, or Plow. Plow? That's the Big Dipper to you, Devin. Ah, sorry. British English sometimes still confuses me. Oh, that makes it much easier. I think everyone at least once in life found the plow in the sky. Never heard it called a plow. Only, unlike in the city, the sky here is filled with a multitude of stars. How am I supposed to find anything among so many? Counterintuitive, you may find out locating specific stars is harder here because of how many stars are visible. Focus on the brightest ones and ignore all the smaller ones. I think I see it. Looking only for the brighter stars, I finally locate the familiar shape and raise my paw. Now, why is this important at all? Well, it isn't. I joke. The constellation is the third biggest one in the sky, and certainly one of the most well known. It is extremely useful in navigation in the northern hemisphere of our planet. Even Homer in the Odyssey mentions Ursa Major as the constellation that disappears from the sky and instead bathes the ocean waves. If we draw a line through them, at least 2 stars of the bull point straight to Polaris. Who can tell me why that's important? Polaris is the North Star. It's roughly above the North Pole, and so it is the point around which the whole sky rotates. That's right. Thank you, Jorgen. What you might not know is that Polaris is actually a 3-star system comprised of a primary star with 2 smaller companions, but that's a story for a different lesson. Huh. Crazy. If anyone here is interested in the night sky photography, but doesn't have the money for an expensive equipment, then you could take some nice photos knowing where Polaris is. With long exposures, you can get those beautiful star trails circling around the North Star. I've seen those. I like this guy already. It's a shame I don't have class with him. Our physics professor is probably the grumpiest old man I've ever seen. He really is nice, but any joke about Uranus will get you thrown out of his class. Lake knows something about that. Ow, Lake. I always thought you're a polite boy that never gets into trouble. Oh, I thought that was the same person, but it's same color but different words. I don't know what got you that idea, or where you got that idea. I can attest to it's completely untrue. So, it looks like everyone's able to locate Ursa Major. That's great. For the next exercise, let's spice things up a little bit. This time, you'll be using telescopes. Take a closer look at Saturn through them. Ooh, nice. That is, if you manage to locate it. I'll make it easy for you though, because we're supposed to have fun activities after all. You're instructed to download the Sky Map app on your phones before your arrival, I hope you all did that. Oh, damn. Oop. If not, then do that quickly before we get to the next step. Devin, you can go too. Have some fun as well. Oh, if I can, then sure thing. Okay, so we don't have enough telescopes for all of you. So for the purposes of this exercise, you may form pairs or triplets, or whatever configurations you might fancy. I don't mind. So now, please, step up to your telescopes. I believe you can sort into bigger groups when needed by yourself. Doing as Professor Arine said. Sorry. Exercise day, long day. Also, slept really hard, but, you know, these types of games where you read a whole bunch, even especially out loud, makes me yawn. Walk up to the free telescope at the end of the terrace. Looking around, I see all my friends are already either at their telescopes or paired up with someone else. Even Miko is walking towards one alongside Bjorn. Okay, does everyone in every group have their own telescope? Good, so we can start. Damn, I was hoping Rune would be with me. Anyways, named after the Roman god of time, Saturn is a good object for observation for beginners. It's relatively easy to locate, and I might say fairly spectacular because of its rings. From my own observations, I can tell you that my students prefer to look at planets than stars. We have a bit of a closer relation to them, after all. You can't help but start to imagine what it might look like, even from even closer. Sorry. I try our best, but reading can be hard for me. Who knows, maybe one of you might find some alien structures on one of the planets someday. But for now, look for an object with a gold color, shining steadily, just a tad bigger than the other ones around it. First, you need to locate it with your own eyes before finding it with a telescope. The mobile app you have on your phones will be very helpful. An object with a golden color, shining steadily, and a tad brighter than the others around it. I mean, that kind of looks like one. Easy to say, hard to find. I stare up at the sky, hoping that will help. Don't you have an app? I'm not Bjorn. Or Devin? Or whoever. I have absolutely no idea how to use it. Maybe I should have read a manual or something before the lesson. I look around in desperation. Maybe I'd be better off joining someone else after all. Also, it's already at the end of the day. I still haven't asked anyone about sharing a room for tonight. I think it's finally time to make the decision, and this might be the best moment for that. So who am I going to ask? What is our time? 13. Ooh, I feel like this would definitely be the point where, like, you know, kind of like, where kind of sets. I'm not sure how this game goes, whether it's a weighted thing, kind of like Neko Jishi, which is tallied at the end, or if it's something like Shelter, or what is the other one? Moronatsu, where a single decision dictates who you're being with. So for Moronatsu, it was who you sat with at the very beginning of the game, which seems kind of weird. You know, there's a lot of decisions there. And then for Shelter, it's who you hang out with in the afternoon is who your husband is with. Which, boy, everything's dictated in an afternoon for that game, you know? Like's cool. Tall Roof. Who's that? I think that's the tiger. I don't see them there. Bjorn. Wait, that's Jorgen. Bjorn is Bear. Devin is that one. Miko or Rune? I want to keep a friendship with Miko, and we seem to be, vibing pretty well, but I kind of want to see if I can get some of that deer meat. Also, what was that red dot there just now? Did you see that? Well, gonna try Rune. After a moment of hesitation, I leave my telescope and look around searching for Rune. Finally, I spot him on the other side of the terrace. He's standing alone, next to his telescope, looking at his phone, probably trying to use the sky map as well. I walk towards him, careful not to bump into any of the groups. He must have sensed me approaching, because he looks up from his phone and turns in my direction. Now, granted, I guess it is a bit forward since, Miko asked me, but, no one else has asked me. I mean, maybe Devin, kinda, because, he's the teacher, but, Rune seems to be, kinda into me. I do feel kinda bad, though. Oh well. I probably plan to redo this game in several different routes, granted it's over the course of 5 days or something, but that's probably gonna take a while. Anyways, he smiles slightly, greeting me with a raised paw. Hey Dark, is everything okay? Yeah, well, almost. I didn't really bother familiarizing myself with the app before the lesson, and I thought would be easier to use. I don't really know where to start. You're unlucky then, because it's also my first time I've used it. But don't fret, this doesn't look too complicated. Look, if I point at the sky, it shows exactly what portion of it's on the screen. Rune lifts the phone up and looks through it at the night sky. The image on the phone follows its moves, displaying the parts of it that's behind it. I guess I must use my location data, current date and hour, and the built-in compass. It's pretty neat. There's a search symbol here. Let's try that. Is there one on the things? I've never found a search symbol on the thing. Oh, there's a category of the solar system. It looks really simple, actually. Rune slowly turns around, holding his phone in front of himself, before he stops suddenly with his phone pointing somewhere behind me. Aha! Here's our Saturn. That was easy. Okay, now your turn. Just open up the menu on the right, click on search, choose solar system, and then Saturn, and the app will point you to it with an arrow. Huh, that does sound simple. I guess I should have tried figuring it out myself first. But then when would I ask Rune about the room? I take out my phone, unlocking it, and launch the Sky app again. It takes a while before it loads. The phone isn't exactly a current model, though it's not old either. There isn't even really much menu diving. Looking for solar system planets indeed turns out to be very straightforward. Man, I must be tired because it's hard to read today compared to yesterday. Yeah. I choose Saturn, and the app displays an arrow pointing me in the direction. I lift my phone and rotate it until Saturn finally appears on the screen. Looking away from the phone, I can see the same pale dot shining in the night sky. Captivating, isn't it? I had no idea the night sky could look like this. I didn't really look at it much lately, but usually in the city, you can't see much other than the moon. Takes me back to my childhood, actually. In the autumn, when the days get shorter and shorter, I often stay out late and lie on the hill and watch the starry sky. Back in Finland, you were living in a small town, right? Yeah, there was a little light pollution there. What about you? Where were you living before you went to university? I grew up in Onslow. I guess that's what it is. I'm a city boy, unfortunately. Fortunately? Count yourself lucky. As you get older, you discover that there is not much to do in a town like this, especially during winters. Lots of youth pick up playing instruments as their hobby, just to have something to do. For example, Miko was working in a music store in a nearby town to earn money for his gear, then played around with it for entire days. Maybe you're right. Both growing up in a city and in a small town has good and bad sides for sure. But I still imagine there must be a sense of freedom when living in a small town surrounded by nature. I bet you spent your childhood playing in forests, running around to your friends' houses, doing whatever you feel like. All those evenings spent lazily walking around lakes, going on trips, around after school with my classmates. Yeah, there were good times. Although my parents were always rather restrictive and kept me inside the house most of the time. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That couldn't have been much fun. I know how it is to spend your childhood at home. So, now that we know where Saturn is, you want to take a closer look at it? We can continue later, now that we have the occasion to see something extraordinary. Right, so, how do I do this? I never used a telescope before, but this can't be too hard. Let's see. This looks like a rectangular tripod. A regular tripod. I loosen the lock knobs and point it roughly in the right direction. The smaller scope must be the finder to help point the telescope exactly where we want. Use the telescope while looking through the finder, then makes fine adjustments with the knobs before finally looking into the telescope. I got it! Oh wow, this is so cool. I can imagine the image isn't very sharp, but I can see the planet and its rings. Here, take a look. I think I saw it, the telescope we had when we went out into the field. It looked better than this, but it looked pretty close. I lean and look in the telescope. In the middle of the image, there's a rust-colored orb with a ring around it. I expected it to look like a flat image, but it's very real and three-dimensional. The planet casts a shadow on one side of the rings, and there's thin shadow on the ring of the planet itself too. It's not too big, but I see it very clearly. Impressive, isn't it? Much more than I imagined. How are you two doing? Do you need any help? No, thank you, Professor. We're doing fine. Glad to hear that. If you have any problems, I'm here to help. Actually, we've already found Saturn through the telescope, Professor. Oh, that's great. So I had planned for this lesson, so you're free to play around with the telescope now if you want. Glances at his watch, scratching his neck with his other paw. Okay, we're pretty much done here. There's still some time before supper, so you can stay here for a while. Actually, there's something I want to ask you. Time 23? Okay, yes? Dum 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 dum. I go loudly. Okay, better get this over with. I don't have a room to sleep in tonight. Would you be okay sharing a room with me? You haven't found anything yet? Rune stares somewhere in the distance, furrowing his brows. He stays like that for a few seconds before looking back at me. You know that I only have one bed in my room? Oh. I didn't, but I don't really mind. At that point, I wouldn't intrude that much, because if he's like, I only have one bed, it's like, oh, okay, I'll ask someone else. I've had my fair share of sleepovers in my life. I enjoyed spending time with each day, so I thought I'd ask you. Or are you trying to get in my bed? I mean, yes. Also, question. Wait, it's turned on now. Every time I looked at it, it said turned off when I was, checking things. Oh yeah, and I do need to edit that one with boobies. quite literally. Rune chuckles, and I can feel my cheeks getting hot. Rune seems to possess a concerning ability to leave me speechless. No, I'm just joking, Dark. Again, Dark. You know what? Why not? This is actually pretty exciting. Maybe you had your share sleepovers, but I really had guests. So sure. Phew. That's more stressful than I thought it would be. Now all the tension I felt disappears. I exhale with relief. My breath turns into a white cloud, my breath turns into a white cloud between us and the cold air. I didn't think it would actually work. Thank you, Rune. No problem. Sorry, my brain suddenly stopped. What? Want to look at more plans before we still have some while we still have some time? I still feel bad for Miko because he asked me first. I made my decisions. Okay, looks like your time here is up. Thank you for attending the lesson. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe even gained a new passion. Supper's already waiting for us in the cafeteria. You're free to take it with you and eat it anywhere you like. Have a good evening, everyone. Or night. Rune, I need to stay here a little longer. I'll catch you later in the cafeteria. Sure, I'll be there with Dark. Looks like we're done here. That was pretty fun, wasn't it? I walked back towards the guest house, joined a small crowd of students heading to the cafeteria. I wasn't really interested in stargazing before, but that was a nice experience. Too bad we don't have such a nice sky back home. Gradually, I started to consider the campus I live in to be my home, rather than the house I grew up in. This is a new area. Neat. I think that with a telescope, you still have the ability to see a lot. That sky map is a pretty useful thing. Without it, I wouldn't even know what I'm looking at. Among the first ones to enter the cafeteria. On one of the tables, individual paper plates with food are stacked on top of each other. Looks like each of us got a sandwich and a slice of some cake. Okay, how many meals do these Swedish people eat? Because I thought when we first came here we ate, and then we joined tables and ate, and now we're eating again. I thought that we were getting here kind of later in the day. Was the first thing, was the stew breakfast, or was this some kind of late night snack? I don't know. And a slice of cake. Kinda want cake, maybe I'll get some cake later. Small bottles of still water are standing in rows next to the plates. Wanna eat here? Yeah, why not? We each grab one plate and a bottle of water and sit at one of the empty tables in the corner of the room, opposite each other. There's no lamp above the table, which I'm happy with. My eyes got a little used to low light when we were stargazing. I still find it weird that you eat breakfast food at night. What? What do you eat at night then? Nothing really. I mean, we eat dinner, and then maybe a light snack later if we're hungry. Huh, I had no idea. Oh, so when did I figure this out, that he eats some kind of midnight breakfast? I wouldn't want to finish their day with some nice sandwiches or a bowl of cereal? Who wouldn't? Like just before going to bed? Cereal before bed? That's crazy. Yeah, I actually agree. There's some madmen who would do it though. Thankfully, we got something more substantial here today. I brought some meal replacement drinks with me in case the food would be subpar, but it looks like the university found some really great guest house this year. Oh, not you too. What's up with everyone buying these lately? It's just convenient. I don't use them at home. I just keep a pack in the cupboard for trips. Who else uses them though? Miko. But he has them almost every day. Okay. Are these like things for other things that we might have missed since we were with other people or something? Because I don't remember him having those meals. Oh well. Ah, him. Frankly, I never would have guessed. Oh yeah, time. Let's see where this goes. I'd be wary of having them often. It's not really a whole food. What about phytonutrients and antioxidants? Anyway, I hope we get to come here next year too. I quite like it here. I look down the plate in front of me, taking a close look at the food. 2 rye bread sandwiches, Rye bread, let's just look it up. I think it's like a brown bread. Yeah, not my type of thing, because that's just too much flavor and stuff for a sandwich. Like, it just overpowers everything else, I feel. Slices of some dark cheese, sprinkled with pepper. Simple, but it looks so good. Especially considering I'm already pretty hungry. How many things do you guys eat? Jesus. Slice of apple cake is deliciously browned on the edges. It smells faintly of cardamom and cinnamon. When I notice the shadow of Rune's antlers between me and him on the table, I look up at him. He's leaning against the table and looking at me with his green eyes. I still can't believe he actually agreed to let me sleep in his room tonight, and in his bed. I asked him just because later I would regret not asking, but I was sure he would decline. Rune, when you think of home, do you see the place you live in or the house you grew up in? Huh? What a serious question. Why do you ask? I don't know. I just noticed that I'm starting to think of campus as my home, and it was a bit of a surprise to me. I never really thought of it. But now that you mention it, I think that my home is where I have my belongings. My laptop, my guitars, pans, knives, everything I use. So I arrived here with most of those. I took a part of my home with me. I don't get attached to places that much. I don't feel anything when I visit my old neighborhood. No nostalgia, no regret, no longing, nothing like that. Maybe it's just too early for that. How long ago did you move away from home? 4 years. That's enough time to make you feel distance from that place. When I visit my parents, I feel more like a guest than a person living there. How about you, though? You only left this year, right? Yeah, but I haven't visited my parents since then. We write messages to each other from time to time, but surprisingly, I don't miss them yet. Rune nods, his paws entwined in front of him on the table, listening to me with a slight smile on his lips. By the way, we're waiting for Devon, yeah? Oh, you can start eating if you want. He won't mind. I just focused on the conversation. Phew, I'm finally done. Do I want to end it here? That's a problem with these things when there isn't a hard cut between things, like within a couple moments of the end of a Let's Play. Because then you're like, okay, is this going to be like 20, like a 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, 20-minute thing? Who knows? But I think with the addition of a new guy, we might want to call it. Could be more stuff, or maybe 1 or 2 things. Who knows? We'll have to find out on the next Let's Play. So anyways, end of this one. So, please comment, cause I like comments, what you like, dislike, tips, or XYZ if you like my YouTube and would like to see it grow. then please like, subscribe, and check out the videos that help it grow. And please remember to spam your ammo to control the pit population. And until next time, let's say me, GamerWolfSix of Dawn Chorus. Also, if you want to play this game, free on the internet. And if you want to give him, support, Patreon. See ya.